with ministers like Farooq Abdullah and Sharad Pawar having strong objections. That brings us to our first question tonight. Is the government's austerity drive mere tokenism? Let me ask Manish Tiwari first. You know, Pranab Mukherjee has given his 10 commandments: thou shalt not hold conferences in 5-star hotels, thou shalt, travel only economy class domestically. And there were these hilarious reactions. Sharad Pawar saying he has a problem with his girth, Farooq Abdullah saying he has a problem with his height. But let me ask you the larger question. Is this just tokenism? I mean, how much do you think the government is really going to save as a result of these austerity measures?
Well, let me rewind this a little bit. It didn't really start off with Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. If you go back to the Congress Working Committee meeting of the 19th of August 2009, the Congress Working Committee decided, and all the MPs and MLAs decided to take a 20% cut in their salaries and donate it to drought relief. And even before that, during the Parliament session when it was on, MPs, ISPO facto decided on an advisory by the Agriculture Minister that they would divert a part of their MP lads funds outside their constituency to drought-hit areas. So, there is a continuing in terms of the very peculiar situation which is prevailing in the country. And I would not term it as tokenism. I think it is about stepping up and empathizing with people. Like, for example, if somebody is unwell, when you go to visit him, you are expressing solidarity. You can also sit at home and wish him well. But the reason why you go across and you make that effort, you walk that extra mile, is because you want your empathy to be known to the person. So it is about identifying with people in a difficult circumstance.
Two things here. And one point, of course, that repeatedly comes up in the case of Shashi Tharoor and SM Krishna is that they were paying their own bills. They've contributed to this drought relief. They've taken a pay cut. What's the problem if they're spending their own wealth? It's their own hard-earned money.
I don't fundamentally foresee a problem with that. But, however, there's a larger perceptual issue involved. And the larger perceptual issue is that as a public representative, as an elected member of parliament, or as a member of the Council of States, when the country is passing through difficult times, I guess you need to tone down what you can even afford. I think that is the essence of being a public representative, that is identifying and empathizing with people.
And didn't the Congress think of that before a story came out in the Indian Express?
Well, as I told you, the story in the Indian Express possibly came out last week, but all this had kicked off as early as 19th of August, or if not earlier.
Okay, let me get Mr. Nilotpal Basu's first comments on this controversy.
I think it is not a mere coincidence that these questions are coming up, because what I saw from the affidavits of people given to Election Commission, that more than 350 of the elected MPs in the country today in the Lok Sabha, they own more than 1 crore. So this question that you are raising of being wealthy people and having the freedom of how they spend their wealth, the economic wherewithal of the people who represent the Aam Aadmi, there is a somewhat disconnect between the Aam Aadmi and their representatives in terms of wealth. That is the first problem. The second problem is, you see, this concern about drought is absolutely not misplaced. But what really bothers us is people right now are really hit by skyrocketing of food prices.
Tuba.com